Hey, y'all, how are you? Good. I think only one of you answered. Was that you, Mom? Hi. Good. Glad you're okay. I really didn't care about anybody else anyway. We're going to get along. This is going to be good. All right, let's go to the Lord. Father, you're good. We love you so much. Thank you for your word. Thank you for you being the author and finisher of our faith. Whatever happened to us today, let us rest in your presence. Let us look into your face, feel you close, and be real. As Acts 2 says, be sincere in our heart. So let's be sincere with you. And we worship you. Would you stand and let's, from our heart. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. Our God, you reign forever. Our hope, our strong deliverer. You are the everlasting God, the everlasting God. You do not faint, you won't grow weary. You're the defender of the weak. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like eagles. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. We'll wait upon the Lord. We'll wait upon the Lord. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. We'll wait upon the Lord. We'll wait upon the Lord. Our God, you reign forever. Our hope, our strong deliverer. You are the everlasting God, the everlasting God. You do not faint, you won't grow weary. You're the defender of the weak. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like eagles. You are the everlasting God, the everlasting God. You do not faint, you won't grow weary. You're the defender of the weak, and you comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like eagles. So I've been in Springtown coming up on 4 years now. I grew up in Grapevine by the lakes over there, by Grapevine Lake. So yeah, oh yeah, lake life. So I'm new to livestock, and my donkey and my cow got out Monday. And now I have a little bit better understanding when Jesus left the 99 to go chase after the one. Goodness gracious. Like, I get it. Like, so they got sent to jail. They were at Parker County Animal Shelter. But when I called, they're like, we need to transfer you over to the sheriff's department. I'm like, awesome. So it was a train wreck. So I know that we've all had especially during the week, we can run, and then you get to Wednesday night service, and you're like, what am I doing? And why am I here again? So here I am to worship. This is me talking to myself. Here I am to worship. So here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. And here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. Light of the world, you step down into darkness. Open my eyes, let me see beauty that made this heart adore you. Hope of a life spent with you. Here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. King of all days, oh so highly exalted, glorious in heaven above. Humbly you came to the earth you created, all for love's sake became poor. Here I am to worship. Here I am to bow down. Here I am to say that you're my God. You're altogether lovely, altogether worthy, altogether wonderful to me. And I'll never know how much it cost to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it cost to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it cost to see my sin upon that cross. I'll never know how much it cost to see my sin upon
I'm caught up in your presence. I just want to sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything. And more than anything that you can do, I just want you. And I'm sorry when I've just gone through the motions. I'm sorry when I just sang another song. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. And I'm sorry when I've come with my agenda. I'm sorry when I forgot that you're enough. Take me back to where we started. I open up my heart to you. I'm caught up in your presence. I just want to sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything. And more than anything that you can do, I just want you. And I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. And I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. And I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else, Jesus. Nothing else will do. And I just want you. Nothing else. Nothing else. Nothing else will do. I'm caught up in your presence. I just want to sit here at your feet. I'm caught up in this holy moment. I never want to leave. Oh, I'm not here for blessings. Jesus, you don't owe me anything. just want you.
We love you so much. Thank you for meeting us. Thank you for drawing us close. Hear our hearts that we love you. In Jesus' name, amen. Y'all can be seated.
Here's the quick version. Ruth was from Moab. Her husband died. Ruth was left with his mom, Naomi. Naomi told her to go home. Ruth said no. She went to Israel with Naomi. They needed someone to take care of them. Ruth gleaned in a field. Boaz noticed. He left extra grain for Ruth. Naomi made a plan. Ruth obeyed it. She wanted to marry Boaz. He agreed. Ruth became part of God's special family.
Communicate it in a way that is understandable, especially when I get excited. Lord, hear our hearts. We love you. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Do we have this mic on? How are we doing there? Check one, check two. Check one, check two. All righty. No? The battery may be dead. Can't remember the last time I changed it. Check one, check two. Okay. Oh, we got something. Awesome. So let's go look at 1 Samuel 22. Last week, anybody remember what happened? David's running away. Yep. David went to the priest Ahimelech at Nob. You know, and there's so much good nuggets. You'll notice that he went to Nob, a town of priests, not to Shiloh. Remember back way early on, we learned about Eli and his sons Hophni and Phinehas. And they had, the Ark of the Covenant was there in Shiloh. Well, then the Ark, got taken away, and the Philistines, we don't hear about Shiloh anymore because we assume the Philistines just razed it to the ground. So now you have David going to Nob, right? That one's free. I'm already off track. It's fantastic. What my point is, and you're going to laugh, and Kelly, give me the look tonight when I'm sitting there in Trey's spot today, and I'm going to preach. Last week's sermon, I only got halfway through it. So I'm like, sweet. I don't have to prep another sermon. I can preach the second half of last week's sermon. I get down, I get ready to redo it. Like, it's not going to work. Nope. We need backstory. So tonight is backstory because I got hung up. I'll tell you where I got hung up. 1 Samuel 22, David left Gath. Remember, he was being a crazy person in front of the Philistine king. And he escaped to the cave of Adullam. When his brothers and his father's household heard about it, they went down to him there. Okay. Now that makes a whole lot of sense, right? Because Saul's a crazy person now. And Saul's trying to kill David. And if Saul wants to get to David, who's he going to naturally go after? He's going to go after David's family. So David's family runs to David in the cave of Adullam. Then verse 2, check this out. All those who were in distress or in debt or discontented gathered around him, and he became their commander. About 400 men were with him. So there's this rogue leader in the wilderness with a ragtag group of men. What story does that sound like? Come on. Say it. Robin Hood. It sounds like Robin Hood, right? No? Did you say, okay, I didn't hear it. Robin Hood. What's cool is later on, which I'm not going to get to it tonight, is David flees to the forest of Hereth. That sounds like Sherwood to me. So I don't know who wrote Robin Hood. I could have looked, but y'all can look if you care. There is a psalm. I'm going to pick it up. Bill Boyd is sharing his testimony next week. So I will pick it up after Thanksgiving, and we will preach through the whole thing of 1 Samuel 22. But man, I got hung up this week. And I'm going to take you on my journey. Verse 3, from there David went to Mizpah in Moab and said to the king of Moab, would you let my father and mother come and stay with you until I learn what God will do for me? Y'all remember Mizpah? What was Mizpah? Mizpah was where Samuel brought the Israelites before the Lord, right? We want a king. We want a king. And Samuel says, okay, let the Lord be witness. And he brings them to Mizpah, okay? And he sets up the stone of Ebenezer. When the Philistines heard that the Israelites were congregating, the Philistines said, let's get them. Let's go to war. Well, the Israelites are not prepared for war. They're prepared to institute a new king and pray and seek their God. And so the Philistines come up and God goes, and does a big thunder like he's doing out here. And the Philistines scurry and kill themselves. And so Samuel sets up Ebenezer, a stone of remembrance there at Mizpah. Okay, so Mizpah has some history. Moab. Okay, I'm going to stop. And I wrote this little thing. Here's one of my crazy notes. Jesus is the reason for all the seasons. Not just this season. He is. Okay. We connect to stories. Jesus used them to help people understand things in his parables. We personally spend hundreds of dollars a year on our stories. What shows are y'all watching right now? Yellowstone. Okay, who else? This is Gilmore Girls. This is a no judgment zone. Let's just be real talk, okay? Real talk. What is that? I don't even know what that is. Okay. Fair enough. The Witcher. It's rough. I love The Witcher, right? I know. I'm excited about season 2. Yeah. What? The Waltons. Yeah. There was a kid in my youth group, and his parents, the only TV he got to watch was John Wayne. And that kid was a stellar kid. There was nothing wrong with that. He is a great kid. Brandon, I know you're not watching, but I'm proud of you, buddy. Still. Only John Wayne. So we love our stories. Obviously, every week I quote Lord of the Rings. Obviously, everybody's worn out by it. Yeah, Star Wars. We love, Amy's like, keep going, buddy. We love our stories. Why? Well, I think a lot of these things, so why do we love music? Well, God made it. Why do we love stories? God made them. My son is a writer, and he's so stubborn. He's right there. I'm looking right at him. I'm like, you've got to write this story, dude. He's like, no, I don't want it out there. Like, it's so good. And he hasn't written it. He'll just tell me about another character he made up. Can I talk about Negative? He's like, yeah, because she's a boring character. Negative is a character that he wrote that you can't remember her. That's her gift/curse. Is once you see her and move on, you don't remember that you ever met her. And she's under the thumb of this evil villain as his pawn to do crime and do ruthless acts, but inherently this character is not evil, right? So rob a bank, no one remembers me. Perfect. I'm like, dude, so counselor mom is like, honey, do you feel like no one remembers you? He's like, no, I just think it's a really cool idea. right? So the kid can write, man, and negative is like, I don't even care about that character. I'm like, dude, this is good. Like one day I'm going to have the guy that's ready to pay money for a good story. I'm like, come here, son, 10%. Dad gets 10%. And then we'll make David the saga. Okay. So I asked Trey today, we were chasing down Donkey and Cow. I said, Trey, if the Lord is the author and finisher of our faith, if he is the writer, what is that? As a writer, tell me about what that means about God. And Trey, I could hear emotion in his voice. He's like, I love my stories, the ones that I write. I'm connected to them. So I'm just hearing worship like, he's like, I love to see it tease out, and I love, right? And so can you imagine, I don't know how it works, okay? God sees all time equally vividly. He exists in the future. He exists in the past. He knows how everything's going to work out. So I don't know how it works for him to be the author and finisher of our faith, right? But I believe that he loves the story that you're in. Right? I believe he knows every little part about it. He knows all the little quirks. He knows the tension of character development. And he knows, so George Carlin, comedy is tragedy plus time. This one struck me today. There is so much tragedy around us, so much pain. And some of the stories, I got to get on track. Some of the stories that we hear tonight are so tragic. But they resolve, as you resolve that note, they resolve with great joy and the way it should be, you know? And I don't know if you're like me, sometimes I cannot handle, the last episode of Chuck could not get through it, man. I lost everybody in the room, but I was so emotionally invested in that show, and they were the sweetest love story, and like Schaefer and I get to season 3, I'm like, you can't handle season 5, baby. And we don't watch it. We'll watch it later because it's so gut-wrenching, right? Anyway, so that's what happened to me today. I got to Moab, the word Moab. And I'm like, why is this important? And y'all need to know why Moab is important, okay? Woo! Lots of scripture tonight. Who are the Moabites? Go to Genesis 19. Okay, now chronologically, we are hundreds of years before David now. Just so you know, we're not in the David saga right now. We're not necessarily in Israel. We're maybe somewhere around there. I actually don't remember. So you get Lot. He's one of the sons of Abraham. Am I right there? Nephew, thank you. See, look at y'all go. Lot and his 2 daughters left Zoar and settled in the mountains, for he was afraid to stay in Zoar. And he and his 2 daughters lived in a cave. Fascinating. One day the older daughter said to the younger, our father's old, and there is no man around here to give us children, as is the custom all over the earth. Let us get our father drunk. Let us get our father to drink wine and then sleep with him and preserve our family line through our father. That night they got their father to drink wine, and the older daughter went in and slept with him. He was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. The next day, the older daughter said to the younger, last night I slept with my father. Let's get him to drink wine again tonight, and you go in and sleep with him so we can preserve our family line through our father. So they got their father to drink wine that night also, and the younger daughter went in and slept with him. Again, he was not aware of it when she lay down or when she got up. So both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father. The older daughter had a son. She named him Moab. Where the Moabites come from. He is the father of the Moabites today. The younger daughter also had a son, and she named him Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites of today. And in the kid's story here that I showed, God's special family, the Israelites. Moabites, not God's special family, okay? So here's my conjecture. We're going to talk a lot about people that died and lived a long, long time ago. And you are wrapped up in this story now, okay? And you are either part of God's special family or you're not, right? Okay. So you get a little backstory of the Moabites, okay? Let's go to Joshua 2. Whew. Joshua 2. All right, so Moses, now we're a little further along chronologically. Moses has just died, and Joshua is now the leader of the Israelites, and Joshua sends 2 spies to spy out the land, all right? Verse 1, then Joshua, son of Nun, secretly sent 2 spies from Shittim. Go look over the land, he said, especially Jericho. So they went and entered the house of a prostitute named Rahab and stayed there. When Kelly and I worked in Cambodia, the home, the center, it was a church they planted in the brothel district, specifically the pedophilic brothel district. It was known as Disney World for pedophiles. And they planted a church, right? Like that's D-Day. Like, let's send troops behind enemy lines. Bloop, and they named it Rahab's house. So that word, the concept of Rahab, means a lot to me and Kelly and I. Verse 2, the king of Jericho was told, look, some of the Israelites have come here tonight to spy out the land. So the king of Jericho sent this message to Rahab, bring out the men who came to you and entered your house because they have come to spy out the whole land. But the woman had taken the 2 men and hidden them. She said, yes, the men came to me, but I didn't know where they'd come from. At dusk, when it was time to close the city gate, they left. I don't know which way they went. Go after them quickly. You may catch up with them. Fantastic narrative. We see that in movies all the time. But she had taken them up to the roof and hidden them under the stalks of flax she had laid out on the roof. So the men set out in pursuit of the spies on the road that leads to the fords of the Jordan. As soon as the pursuers had gone out, the gate was shut. Before the spies lay down for the night, she went up on the roof and she said to them, I know that the Lord has given you this land and that great fear of you has fallen on us, so that all who live in this country are melting in fear because of you. We have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to Sihon and Og. Who was Og? Remember who Og was? 13-foot casket. He was one of the giants. So these people can kill giants. Jericho's trembling, right? The 2 kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely destroyed. When we heard of it, our hearts melted in fear, and everyone's courage failed because of you. For the Lord your God is God in heaven above and on the earth below. Rahab is not part of God's special family. Jericho is not part of God's special family. Now then, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family, because I've shown kindness to you. Give me a sure sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and you will save us from death. Our lives for your lives, the men assure her. If you don't tell what we are doing, we will treat you kindly and faithfully when the Lord gives us the land. So she let them go down by a rope through the window. Does this sound familiar? David, Michal, huh? She let them down by a rope through the window, for the house she lived in was part of the city wall. She said to them, go to the hills so the pursuers will not find you. Hide yourselves there 3 days. 3 days, that's interesting. Until they return, and then go on your way. Now the men had said to her, this oath you made us swear will not be binding on us unless when we enter the land you have tied this scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down. Well, that sounds like Passover. Are you all tracking with me? Scarlet. That sounds like the blood of Jesus. Huh, okay, on we go. Unless you have tied this scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down, and unless you have brought your father and mother and brothers and all of your family into your house, if any of them go outside your house into the street, their blood will be on their own heads. We will not be responsible. As for those who are in the house with you, their blood will be on our head if a hand is laid on them. But if you tell what we are doing, we will be released from the oath you made us swear. Agreed, she replied, let it be as you say. Rahab, she is not part of God's special family. Okay? Ruth. All right, y'all dig in. Ain't no fancy videos tonight. We're just reading scripture. All of Ruth. Here we go. I ain't scared. I kept trying to find a slick little video till I get it. I'm like, this is dumb. Let's read it. Oh, it's so rich. I sat there at the computer weeping because of the richness in this story. In the days when the judges ruled. Y'all set up chronologically now? Sometime after Joshua and before Samuel. Samuel was the last judge. In the days when the judges ruled, there was famine in the land. So a man from Bethlehem, and the names that you know, grab onto the names, right? I don't want them to just be names. If you have to, put a face with it. There's a person named Orpah. I picture Oprah, okay? Do what you got to do, right? I got a friend named Jason Perez. We're going to hear about a Perez. I picture Jason. Do what you got to do. But I want these names to connect with you. They are part of the story, and you are connected to them in some facet. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah, together with his wife and 2 sons, went to live for a while in the country of Moab. Moab. The man's name was Elimelech. His wife's name was Naomi. And the names of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they went to Moab and lived there. They were part of God's special family. But they left Israel. They went to Moab. Now Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. And they married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth. And they had lived there about 10 years, and both Mahlon and Chilion also died, and Naomi was left without her 2 sons and her husband. When Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them, she and her daughters-in-law prepared to return home to Israel from there. With her 2 daughters-in-law, she left the place where she had been living and set out on the road that would take them back to the land of Judah. Then Naomi said to her daughters-in-law, "Go back, each of you, to your mother's home. May the Lord show you kindness as you have shown kindness to your dead husbands and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you will find rest in the home of another husband." She then kissed them goodbye, and they wept aloud. Can you imagine this? They've been family for at least 10 years, and they lost loved ones together. It's too much loss. We know this. I don't want to say goodbye anymore, right? And yet here we go again, okay? Naomi said, "Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons? Who could become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. I am too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight and then gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grew up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters, it is more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord's hand has turned against me." Exclamation point. You feel her pain. She does not feel like she's part of God's family. The Lord has turned against me. At this, they wept aloud again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law and goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. "Look," said Naomi, "your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her." Here we go. Ruth. Strong women in the Bible. Okay? Woo! Ruth, man. Rahab, man. Woo! Ruth replied, "Don't urge me to leave you or turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." This is, and I can't remember it now, but this is a vow. This is an oath. This is a covenant, right? This is not like, where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Right? They carried bones around to put them in their final resting place. Ruth's like, no. I'll be buried. A lot of these pagan religions, a lot of these had heavy ancestor worship ties. And so where you were buried and what happened to your remains meant a lot. "May the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me." When Naomi realized Ruth was determined to go with her, she stopped urging her. She's like, "Okay, this girl crazy." Right? She just made an oath. Okay, right? Woo! So the two women went on until they came to Bethlehem. Bethlehem, we're coming up to Christmas, y'all. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them, and the woman exclaimed, "Can this be Naomi?" She says, "Don't call me Naomi." She told them, "Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi? The Lord has afflicted me. The Almighty has brought misfortune upon me." So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by Ruth the Moabite, her daughter-in-law, arriving in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. Now Naomi had a relative on her husband's side, a man of standing from the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, "Let me go to the fields and pick up the leftover grain behind anyone whose eyes I find favor." There were allowances back in Israel that if your harvesters picked up grain and they dropped it, you weren't allowed to pick it back up, and that was for the poor. It would be akin to our combine cutting that corner, and you just leave it for anybody that would need it, right? That's kind of how that looks. Naomi said to her, "Go ahead, my daughter." So she went out, entered a field, and began to glean behind the harvesters. As it turned out, she was working in a field belonging to Boaz, who was from the clan of Elimelech. Just then Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the harvesters. "The Lord be with you." Boaz is the owner, right? "The Lord bless you," they answered. Boaz asked the overseer of his harvesters, "Who does that young woman belong to?" You see the ancient structure of women back then. Who does she belong to, right? The overseer replied, "She is the Moabite woman who came back from Moab with Naomi." She said, "Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the harvesters." She came into the field and has remained here from morning until now, except for a short rest in the shelter. So Ruth is a worker. Boaz said to Ruth, "My daughter, listen to me. Don't go and glean in another field. Don't go away from here. Stay here with the women who work for me. Watch the field where the men are harvesting and follow along after the women. I've told the men not to lay a hand on you. And whenever you are thirsty, go and get a drink from the water jars the men have filled." At this, she bowed down with her face to the ground. She asked him, "Why have I found such favor in your eyes that you notice me, a foreigner?" Are you connecting to this story yet? There was a day when you weren't part of God's special family. You go ahead and hang out in my field. You go ahead and glean from what I have. Why would you, Boaz replied, "I've been told all about what you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother in your homeland and came to live with a people you did not know before. May the Lord repay you for what you have done. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings, Kelly, you've come to take refuge." You ladies who were in the women's Bible study on Monday, I heard about how they'll put the wings of the prayer shawl over the kids and they'll pray over the kids, right? And their kids' ministry is called the Torah Tots. Fantastic name. Torah Tots. That's good. Verse 13, "May I continue to find favor in your eyes, my Lord," she said. "You have put me at ease by speaking kindly to your servant, though I do not have the standing of one of your servants." At mealtime, Boaz said to her, "Come over here, have some bread and dip it in the wine vinegar." She sat down with the harvesters. He offered her some roasted grain. She ate all she wanted and had some left over. As she got up to glean, Boaz gave orders to his men, "Let her gather among the sheaves and don't reprimand her. Even pull out some stalks for her from the bundles and leave them for her to pick up, and don't rebuke her." So Ruth gleaned in the field until evening. Then she threshed the barley she had gathered, and it amounted to about an ephah, which I believe is about 30 pounds. It's not a small haul. She carried it back to town, and her mother-in-law saw how much she had gathered. Ruth also brought out and gave her what she had left over after she had eaten enough. Her mother-in-law asked her, "Where did you glean today? Where did you work? Blessed be the man who took notice of you." Then Ruth told her mother-in-law about the one at whose place she had been working. "The name of the man I worked with today is Boaz." She said, "The Lord bless him," Naomi said to her daughter-in-law. "He has not stopped showing his kindness to the living and the dead." She added, "That man is our close relative. He's one of our guardian redeemers, a kinsman redeemer. In Hebrew, it's the Goel." But Ruth and Then Ruth the Moabite said, he even said to me, stay with my workers until they finished harvesting all my grain. Naomi said to Ruth, her daughter-in-law, it will be good for you, my daughter, to go with the women who work for him, because in someone else's field you might be harmed. So Ruth stayed close to the women of Boaz to glean until the barley and wheat harvests were finished, and she lived with her mother-in-law. One day Ruth's mother-in-law Naomi said, my daughter, I must find a home for you where you will be provided well for. Now Boaz, whose women you have worked with, is a relative of ours. Tonight he will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor. Wash, put on perfume, and get dressed in your best clothes. Get out of your mourning attire. Then go down to the threshing floor, but don't let him know you are there until he's finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, note the place where he is lying, and then go and uncover his feet and lie down. He will tell you what to do. I will do whatever you say, Ruth answered. So she went down to the threshing floor and did everything her mother-in-law told her to do. When Boaz had finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, he went over to lie down at the far end of the grain pile. Ruth approached quietly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. In the middle of the night, something startled the man. Can you imagine? He turned and there was a woman lying on his feet. There's a strange woman in my bed. What? Who are you? He asked. I am your servant Ruth, she said. Spread the corner of your garment over me, since you are a guardian redeemer of our family. This is some serious imagery. The Lord bless you, my daughter, he replied. This kindness is greater than that which you showed earlier. You have not run after the younger men, whether rich or poor. And now, my daughter, don't be afraid. I will do for you all you ask. All the people of my town know that you are a woman of noble character. Although it is true that I am a guardian redeemer of our family, there is another who is more closely related than I. Stay here for the night. And in the morning, if he wants to do his duty as your guardian redeemer, your Goel, good, let him redeem you. But if he is not willing, as surely as the Lord lives, I will do it. Lie here until morning. So she laid his feet until morning, but got up before anyone could be recognized. And he said, no one must know that a woman came to the threshing floor. I don't understand. I don't know the cultural context there. He also said, bring me the shawl you were wearing and hold it out. When she did so, he poured into it 6 measures of barley and placed the bundle on her. Then he went back to town. When Ruth came to her mother-in-law, Naomi asked, how did it go, my daughter? Then she told her everything Boaz had done for her and added, he gave me these 6 measures of barley, saying, don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed. Then Naomi said, wait, my daughter, until you find out what happens, for the man will not rest until the matter is settled today. Meanwhile, Boaz went up to the town gate and sat down there just as the guardian redeemer he had mentioned came along. Boaz said, come over here, my friend, and sit down. So he went over and sat down. Boaz took 10 of the elders of the town and said, sit here, and they did so. So something's going down, right? He then said to the guardian redeemer, Naomi, who has come back from Moab, is selling the piece of land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. You like how he leads with this? He's pretty shrewd. Hey, Goel that's closer than me. Hey, Naomi's selling this property. You want to buy it? I thought I should bring the matter to your attention and suggest that you buy it in the presence of these seated here and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you will redeem it, do so. If you will not, tell me so I will know, for no one has the right to do it except you, and I'm next in line. I will redeem it, he said. Then Boaz said, on the day you buy the land from Naomi, you also acquire Ruth the Moabite, the dead man's widow, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property. At this, the guardian redeemer said, oh, I'm out. Then I cannot redeem it because I might endanger my own estate. You redeem it yourself. I cannot do it. Pretty slick there. Huh? A little bait and switch. Now, in earlier times in Israel, for the redemption and transfer of property to become final, one party took off his sandal and gave it to the other. This was the method of legalizing transactions in Israel. We need to get back to this, people. Right? People walking around with mismatched shoes, and you're like, who's? Oh. Yeah, that don't. Yeah, we got to get back to that. So the guardian redeemer said to Boaz, buy it yourself, and he removed his sandal. Then Boaz announced to the elders and to all the people, today you are witnesses that I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Kilion, and Mahlon. I have also acquired Ruth the Moabite, Mahlon's widow, as my wife, in order to maintain the name of the dead with his property, so that his name will not disappear from among his family or from his hometown. Today you are witnesses. Then the elders and all the people at the gate said, we are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah. Sorry. You're an authority on this. Thank you. Who together built up the family of Israel. Now listen to what they say again. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the family of Israel. Okay. May you have standing in Ephrathah, and be famous in Bethlehem. Through the offspring of the Lord gives you by this young woman, may your family be like that of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah. Soundtrack changes. It's been E minor, melodramatic, sad, and we shift to minor. So we shift to major. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. When he made love to her, the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. The woman said to Naomi, praise be to the Lord, who this day has not left you without a guardian redeemer. May he become famous throughout Israel. He will renew your life and sustain you in your old age, for your daughter-in-law who loves you and who is better to you than 7 sons has given him birth. Then Naomi took the child in her arms. The woman living there said, Naomi has a son. They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David. That's why he went to Moab. Because his dad is a quarter Moabite. Because Ruth, the Moabite, she was not part of God's special family, and now she's part of God's special family. Okay? Go to Matthew 1. Coming up on Christmas, this is important. Okay, just deal with me. And I cut it off early up there, Trey, so everybody else just read along. Matthew chapter 1, this is the genealogy of Jesus, the Messiah, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham was the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers, Judah the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar, Perez the father of Hezron, Hezron the father of Ram, Ram the father of Amminadab, Amminadab the father of Nahshon, Nahshon the father of Salmon, not salmon. Now I'm hungry. Salmon the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. I'll catch that. Who was Boaz's mama? She was a prostitute. She was not part of God's family. She was not part of his special family. She was a whore. I chose that word because it's an icky, horrible, ugh. When we were in Cambodia, I used the word prostitute, and Krista said, Alf, we don't use that word. They're sex workers. Rahab was a sex worker. Rahab was a prostitute. There was nothing honorable about her profession. The most honorable thing about Rahab was the care that she had for her family, and that she identified God as God. And God said, you're going to be part of my special family, right? Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. I want to see that story play out. That's a prequel, Amy, right? Whew. Boaz, the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed, the father of Jesse, and Jesse, the father of King David. And we have verses all the way down to Joseph. Verse 16, and Jacob, the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary, and Mary was the mother of Jesus, who was called the Messiah. You getting connected to this story a little bit more yet? Hang on. Go to John chapter 10. John chapter 10. Jesus is telling a parable. No, it's not a parable. He's talking about the Good Shepherd. Now, we've been in David land. We're getting a little bit of shepherd language. We learned about from Raymond how the shepherd will play the lyre so that the sheep is at ease, and how a shepherd will use the sling to bring a sheep back where it needs to be. Ironically enough, my goat was the only creature that didn't run away. This is Jesus talking. Very truly, I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name. Rahab, Ruth, Boaz. Enter your name here. And he leads them out. When he has brought out all his own, he goes on ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize a stranger's voice. Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. They're Pharisees. Therefore, Jesus said again, very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. Listen to the wording here, y'all. Y'all know this verse. Everybody likes to throw John 10:10 around, but man, in the context of the shepherd, it's thicker. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd and does not own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away. Then the wolf attacks the flock and scatters it. The man runs away because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my sheep and they know me. Remember the Afghan boy when we saw the videos of them slinging. The guy says, how many sheep do you have? He goes, I don't know. Well, how do you know you're missing them? He's like, I just recognize them. I just know my sheep, right? Jesus knows his sheep. Just as the Father knows me and I know the Father, I lay down my life for the sheep. Verse 16. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. Enter your name here. Oh, all of a sudden you're part of the story now. If you're part of God's special family. Now, if you're not part of God's special family, if you're watching online and you're feeling some heartstrings, that might be that you're recognizing the voice of the shepherd. What? So pay attention to that and follow. I have other sheep that are not of this sheep pen. I must bring them also. They too will listen to my voice, and there shall be one flock and one shepherd. The reason my Father loves me is that I laid down my life only to take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down and authority to take it up again. This command I received from my Father. Jesus is the shepherd. And he is inviting you tonight into his special family. I know everybody in this room, and I'm pretty sure you're already in the special family of the Lord. If not, you got me swindled.